All right, take a look at the VEVOR Dent Repair Kit. So these are very cool. What you'll sometimes see is you'll see people that have like an LED bar kind of thing built up, but this works just as well, and it doesn't require power, so you can literally put this thing anywhere. You don't have to worry about, like, can I turn it on? So we got a little screwdriver with a couple little screws, so this is going to kind of assemble like a like helping hands or something like that. So we're going to take the arm and put it in there. Take one of these screws and screw that into the hole in the back. And the other side just kind of fits into that hole. Just like that. So this arm, you can bend that around however the heck you want it. It's got a nice stiff wire in there. And it has a suction cup on the other side so you can stick that anywhere on the car. You can see those stripes getting reflected. It's going to do the same thing on paint. And what that's going to do is anywhere where you got a dent is going to kind of make like a bowl. So you can see all the curvature in that dent so you know exactly what you're working with. So if you're going to be working on dents, nice parallel lines like this is a very handy thing to have. Well, that's cool. They actually gave us a little bag to put everything in. Nice. That's handy. Very good thing because there are a lot of parts to this kit. We got a scraper, got a kind of interesting angle on it too. That's actually kind of cool. I like that. Then we got a little airbag, so there's probably going to be a pump somewhere in here to air that up. Ooh, hey, that's cool. So these are typically glass holders, so I wonder. Yeah, that's cool. So that works great. So if you have a dent on a plastic panel or something like that and just kind of pushed in, you want to be able to, like, you can't really get behind it to push it out. With this, you can stick that on, lock that down, and then just use the power of that suction cup to pull that out. This can actually solve a lot of problems. These are very nice to have. Here we have the dent puller. So it actually came in two pieces. So we got the handle and we got the hammer shaft. So if we wanted to, we could take this off, and it looks like you can take the adapter tip and screw it right onto this T-handle, so you can use that and just kind of pull it a little bit by hand, so you don't have to use the slide hammer. That's pretty cool. But this is a slide hammer style dent puller. So what's going to happen with this, you can see it's got a spring on the front, so we're not going to be pushing the dent in. What we're going to do is we're going to put some kind of an attachment onto here. When we got that locked into the car, we can just slide that and pop that dent out. So it'll really just pull that dent out. But very nice. Good weight on this hammer too. So very nice build. And then here, we got a very similar thing, but instead of this being a hammer, this is just kind of a squeeze tool. So it's got the same mount to put those attachments on. So you can choose to either use this or the slide hammer, but this will give you a lot more slow, steady control. And then this is the feet for it. So they are rubber padded, so that's good. I'm just gonna take the bolt off and then put this nut on the back. And this is a nylon lock nut, so we don't have to worry about that coming out. We can use this little Allen and this little wrench to lock it on. Now you don't have to have this tight. In fact, it's better to have it a little loose so that this has some room to move around. So there we go. Now we can move those in and out, kind of flop them around depending on the angle. We can get that set right over that dent. Here it looks like we got another one, very similar style. We would take our hot glue gun. We got some nice long hot glue sticks, and we would stick some of that hot glue right onto that surface. And we would stick that onto the car, and then as we tighten this up, it'll slowly pull that dent out. We also have a bunch of different style pads, so if you don't like this one, you can use any of these. So for the hot glue gun, we do have our power button right there, and then we have our injector right there. It does come with a stand, which is pretty nice. And we got a lot of hot glue sticks. These are all very long too. We'll just stick that in there. Let that heat up. And then when you pull this trigger, that's going to force the glue down. You've probably seen a hot glue gun before, but it is a standard 120 outlet plug. Then we've got another one of these suction cups. So that's cool. So if you got a dent, but it's too small for that other one, just use this. Pretty cool. Oh, look at that. We got even another one. So these are both the same size, so if you need to, you can lock these onto different spots on that dent and you can kind of wiggle it up. Got a bunch of attachments. So these work kind of a similar way, so you're just going to put some hot glue on here, stick that onto your dent, then you can come in with a slide hammer, hook that on, and pop that dent out. So there's lots of different options here depending on the dent size and like the orientation of it, and a whole nother bag of them. So there's a ton of these in here. We got a little spray bottle. So when you want to get that hot glue to come off, usually you use isopropyl alcohol, depending on the hot glue. That's 99% of the time that's what they use. So you just throw some alcohol in here, that will react with the hot glue so that you can pull these tabs off the car. Oh, look at that. And we've got even more of them. So really a whole bunch of these things. We got a little hammer. So these are nice because they're kind of like rubbery, so if you want to, you can make direct contact with this. You don't have to worry about scratching up the paint. But most of the time, you're going to use that with this. So this is kind of a punch. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the tip that you want and screw that in. So it feels like this is aluminum, this is plastic. Plastic is important because you're not going to be scratching up the paint. Then as you start pulling that dent out, you got to kind of work it. So you got to go like in, you got to go out, you got to go in, you got to go out. You don't want to do it too much because eventually it'll stretch that metal out, but you can get it pretty close with this. So you would use this tool to check those lines to find out wherever it's high, and then use that to tap it down. And again, most of the time you don't want to smack the heck out of it. You just want to give it little taps. Little bit at a time. But you can also see we got a bunch of different tips for this chisel. We got this nice ball end here, so this is a very good one if you want to just do like some work around the outside. We got even more of these adapters. We got some gloves. We got a rag. It's interesting. So we actually have another style of hot glue for that hot glue gun. So plenty of hot glue sticks. And then this is that pump. So look for the one with the hole in it. That is the hose. And then the other end will attach onto this barb. There we go. So the idea with this is you can stick this between two panels if you got like a dent that's kind of pushed in, but you can fit this in there. Then we'll lock this knob. And as I pump that up, that will cause that pouch to expand. I mean, sometimes you can just kind of press those dents out. And when you're done, loosen that up, and that'll let the air out. So very handy thing to have. And then the last thing, we got this seam puller. So the idea is basically the same thing. You would just take a bunch of hot glue, run it all the way down that, stick that onto a dent that's in, but it's like thin. Then we can slide this over it. And then we can use that dent puller to knock that out, and we can pull everything out nice and straight. So that's one of the things about these, is that straight can be fairly difficult to accomplish, but with this, it can be a lot easier because you're literally pulling the whole thing out all at once. So we got two large options. You can see they got slightly different patterns depending on whatever you can get to stick better. And we got two small options. You can see we also got different widths depending on the type of dent that you're working with. But this one works exactly the same. Slide that on and you can pull that out. So there we go. That is a surprisingly complete kit. You can see there is a ton of different options for attacking different styles of dents. I find that most of the time I'm going to find one option on here that I like the best. I'm going to use that more than any of the other ones. But having all these options in the arsenal, depending on what you actually have to deal with, this can really come in handy. And when it comes to tapping and stuff like this is one of those arts where it takes a while to really master. But even a novice can get a dent, we'll say 90% of the way there. Very rarely, if you have to use something like this, are you going to get it absolutely perfect, but you can get it pretty darn close. And you can almost always get it way better than it was when you started. But tools like this for big dents, like in the sides of door or something like that, these things are worth their weight in gold. Like these things can pop out a lot of problems. So yeah, overall, that is a very nice kit. And it does in fact all fit in that pouch. So that's pretty cool.